What I'm now puzzled by, you've been so clear on this, your chair of Republicans abroad and whatever. Why apparently is Trump flirting with the dreadful Keir Starmer? Why does Trump say this is a good man? Why on earth is J.D. Vance as intelligent, as clever, a decent, a fine writer? Why on earth is he consorting with our fool of a former foreign secretary? Now, you know that one of the things that I think is most terrible. This man is now Lord Chancellor and wears the same robes as St. Thomas More. I mean, the decline. I thought when David Lammy sat in Palmerston's desk, this was the final, as Foreign Secretary, this was the final indicator of the collapse of Britain. But when this man wears the robes of a Lord Chancellor, and you can see behind him Wolsey, you can see behind him Thomas More weeping. But what's going on? Is it just that in order to make the special relationship work, you've got to pretend to like people that you don't like?
I think that's part of it, David. And look, I think they're not afraid to criticize, Keir Starmer. So on one hand, they're friendly because they respect the special relationship. There's a brotherhood between the two countries that, even when Obama and Biden were presidents, they were obnoxious. They didn't respect Churchill, taking the bust out of the White House or the Oval Office, so they were hostile to Britain, back of the queue comment from Obama, for example, and you had many of those comments from Biden, but the people still respect each other. There's a bond between the people of the two countries, and so, and contrary to the critics on the left and in the media, President Trump can be diplomatic, right? It's just called diplomacy. You have to keep your friends close and your enemies closer, and so I do think that there's a respect out of respect for the country, and but I think they're quite aware of the flaws of Starmer and Lammy and the rest of the lot, and they're not afraid to make those criticisms. And you saw that in the press conference in Turnberry when I think in many ways, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he almost humiliated Keir Starmer. Hosting him at his big mansion.
Oh, it was hilarious. It was one. We all said it looked like a Roman emperor receiving, the odd provincial tribal leader. As they hesitantly climbed the steps before him. And of
It
course,
was
the fact that Trump is so enormously tall and Keir Starmer's a little man like me, of course, made the whole thing even more gloriously absurd. But I mean, now being very serious, of course, all of these issues, in one sense, they're high political theory. What does freedom of speech actually mean? How absolutist is it? And what has been the role of the state in deliberately suppressing it, as opposed to letting individual favored groups like the transgendered or whatever do it? I mean, you referred to one aspect of all of this with the role during COVID of our governments on both sides of the Atlantic employing the whole machinery of the social media and political management to silence dissent very deliberately to limit freedom of speech. But of course, all of these issues now really focus, don't they, on sharp commercial interests. They focus sharply on the role of the main vehicles. I mean, particularly with what's been done with Twitter by Elon Musk. The issues now focus on the role of the big American online companies, the social media and whatever, and how far they are amenable to the kind of speech control legislation, which the European Union and Britain is trying to impose. I mean, presumably, this will simply be resisted absolutely in America. Am I right on that?
without a doubt. It's just that it can't be tolerated. I mean, the Constitution doesn't exist or survive without the First Amendment and, frankly, the Second Amendment, but that's a different issue. But I do think that there is major pushback that will not be tolerated. JD Vance, kind of led the charge in Munich. But remember, back to our prior topic about the relationship, he also, referred to Great Britain as our friends. And I think it's this brother, this sibling relationship where when you see one of your siblings make a mistake or veer
Oh,
down the
it's not
wrong path.
sibling. Come on, we're not siblings. We are the same relationship, roughly, as you and me in terms of age. Doddering age on this side of the Atlantic,
No,
and slightly decaying middle age on that side. There's an anteriority of,
you could say big brother, little brother,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
and
yeah.
and there is some of that element. There's no doubt about it. And I do think because of their fondness for the UK, both the president and the vice president want what's best for the UK. And I think it will work. I think the revolution is coming. It couldn't come soon enough, as you know. But I don't say that from a position of sort of snobbery, because we had it the same thing in the United States. I mean, it
Or,
was a
as you said,
really
all of these things, they all began in America, but of course they derive ultimately from bad French philosophy. As I say, all bad ideas are French, and then they get refracted through American money, American academic institutions, and the poison of American race relations. But I mean, just thinking about it, I mean, here we do have a very different situation in that the grip of that Biden-esque or Obama-esque world has not been broken. That, on the contrary, in the Starmer government is the equivalent of all the bad features of Biden and Obama fused together. And they, of course, have to use the ability to silence people
oh yeah,
to
yeah.
stop that revolution. The people doing the silencing here essentially are the agencies of the state and of the police, which is why there's the Lucy Connolly case and so on. And now that, I think, does present something very different. And I think this means, I'm going to put a case to you. On this side of the Atlantic, we are in a position where all the things that Charlie was talking about are really entrenched state policy. The things that he criticizes, critical race theory, absolute belief in multiculturalism, belief in international liberalism, the importance of immigration, the absence of borders, all these things are in more or less specifically actual state policy. And it's the policy of law. The reason that woke is so powerful is that it's entrenched in law. Now, the area where the law is being challenged most is on Twitter, because for the obvious reason that Musk deliberately opened it up. Now, there's a very interesting series of discussions going on here, as visibly our government is losing control. I mean, you will have been following the events of the last week or two, also centering on America, with the marvelous case of the disgraced ambassador, the Prince of Darkness, now suddenly thrust down into the pit of hell, where many people would say, I'm quite friendly with him, by the way, where many people, very charming and dangerous, where many people would actually say he belongs. But people are now openly speculating here that as the government starts to lose control, as that of ideas, of the sphere, in other words, exactly what happens in the run up to your revolution, when the dominant power begins to lose control of the public discourse, that the first and obvious thing that the British government will try to do is ban Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Now, what do you think the American reaction would be?
Well, obviously, they would be outraged. Now, of course, the progressive radical left would probably be thrilled with it.
Precisely.
And remember, as you know, the Democrats and the liberals used to be the champions of free speech. The American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU. And it's amazing how it's flipped. They've gone from the
Totally.
anti-war party and the free speech party to the pro-war anti-speech party. It's phenomenal what's happened. I mean, or incredible. And so I think generally there would be major pushback from the U.S. And again, it's because we had a taste of this only 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly. I mean, just picking that point up, because again, this wonderful sense of the echo chamber of the Atlantic. Here we had a woman. We had exactly our own version of the Civil Liberties Union, headed by now a Labour peeress, Shami Chakrabarti, passionate advocate of freedom of speech. Suddenly now is the one saying, "Oh, race relations, community relations, whatever, have to take priority. Oh, DEI has to take priority." The astonishing somersault. And so we again, things like amnesty are on the side now of repression. There's been complete inversion of the left, all of which makes next week's state visit even more interesting than state visits tend to be, doesn't it?
I think so.